Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, January 13th, here on Coach's Corner with Heck and King. We got a lot to talk about today. As always, we have a national championship set. And before we do that, let's hit the video.
Coach's Corner with Coach Heck and the infamous Coach Patrick King. You're stuck with me, man.
I'm stuck.
You are stuck with me. I ain't going anywhere.
There's a lot of people that are jealous of me for sitting here, and there's some people that there's a little sympathy going on at the same time.
There's more people that are sympathetic to you. I'm just saying that much right now. Just remember what Ron Hecklinski said today. And you ain't that good. The scouting report said you were pretty good. You ain't that good. Oh, man. Are you kidding me?
Coach's Corner with Heck and King is sponsored by Tony Letcher with Health Markets Insurance, On Funeral Homes, and Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka. For those of you on YouTube, make sure to comment in the chat, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Please and thank you. Now here's Heck and King.
And yes, here we are on a beautiful Monday evening. Cold, but no more snow today.
No, it's going to get colder.
Yeah, it's going to get colder.
Tonight's going to be a night to snuggle up.
So here's what I wore sweatpants today to school because I'm back at school. I'm back teaching.
Right, you're back. Yeah,
I'm an educator,
week number
man.
2.
I'm an educator. And so it was like, I don't know, 13 degrees this morning. So I rolled out of bed and it's freezing and I got a hoodie on. I got the best sweatpants I've ever had. These Mishawaka basketball ones.
Yeah, those are heavy ones.
Heavy.
Did you pull your one pant leg up because you're a West Side guy?
Well, I did when I got to the school, but I didn't on the way to school. But I'm in school, and somebody says, "Hey, Heck, well, how come you got sweats on today?" I said, "Here's exactly why I got sweats on today. Because I'm teaching health. I'm in the PE department, and I dress like PE teachers dress." Right?
Makes sense to me.
I mean, I don't care if I'm in the classroom. I'm in the PE department, so I got sweats galore, man. Anyway, the intro is beautiful, and Scotty's exactly right. We got championship. We got a championship on the line, man.
Championship weekend. This has not happened in 12 years around here?
Since, we haven't won one since 88, right?
88.
Yeah, and we've won 8 of them, right?
Boy, you tell me.
Yeah, I think we've won 8 of them.
Not since I've been around here.
And 88, Lou Holtz was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one I can tell you, and I remember this just like you remember, Brian Kelly, Manti Te'o. We're going to play Alabama, right?
Right.
National championship game. And then the game wasn't even a game.
It was ugly.
Yeah, it was ugly, but why was it ugly?
Because they didn't have athletes.
They didn't have we didn't have athletes. They, being Alabama and SEC, were full of athletes. We had good football players, but when it came to the speed, to the athleticism of the game, we didn't have it. Now we do. And I think that's the thing that makes me think about it more than anything. We do, and that's a tribute straight up to Marcus Freeman and his recruiting. Right?
I agree. And, we're going to get into some of the details, and we've mentioned every week here about how this tournament trail is really an endurance because each school has had players come back from injuries. They've lost players to injuries, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Notre Dame's lost another lineman this week.
Yeah, they have. They lost the freshman tackle, number 54, Anthony Knapp. Mm-hmm. And I remember early in the season on this very show, me saying, "Who is this Anthony Knapp cat?" And he can't block a soul. And we just went off on Notre Dame's line. Mm-hmm. But what you fail to understand is the coaching that Notre Dame has, and both A, the position coaches, and B, the coordinators are absolutely really, really good.
Right. There's been a lot of coaching involved, and that's one of the things we'll talk about too here with all the coaching changes that are going on. How many of these coaches are going to stay at Notre Dame, and how many of them are going to have an opportunity to move on and maybe have their own team?
Well, I feel real confident in the fact that Mike Denbrock will stay on at Notre Dame. I think it's his third trip through South Bend.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's been at least 2, but I feel like it's his 3rd trip through South Bend, and he's at the age he's making enough money. I mean, these coordinators, it's not like they're making $100,000 anymore.
Right.
They're at the million mark.
They're comfortable.
Yes, they are. And I would say Marcus Freeman gives him leeway. Marcus Freeman lets him coach, and he's got players. Whatever players he needs, they'll go into the portal to get.
And it's interesting, too, that how things have changed here as the weeks have progressed, where Notre Dame, the independent, people looked at that as a disadvantage for 11 ball games because of the schedule. Now, all of a sudden, people are saying it's an unfair advantage, and a lot of that has to do financially because they were showing how much money Notre Dame makes every week they progress through the tournament, and they don't have to share it with anybody because they're independent.
Exactly.
Where Ohio State, you got to understand, Purdue, Penn State, Rutgers, all these teams that have had their equipment tucked away for a month,
they get a share.
They're getting a share. They get a share of Ohio State's prosperity, of Penn State's prosperity that they had. All that money is shared along with the TV revenues that go along with it too. And since Notre Dame's an independent, they don't have to share with anybody. So their pocketbook just keeps getting deeper.
And with that question, I would throw a question out there because of their affiliation to the ACC in other sports, and because of their affiliation to where they have to play so many ACC teams in a year.
Right.
If the ACC would get a cut of any of that, and I don't know that. I don't know that, and I'm not sure if
from
you
what
know
I've
that.
heard right now, the answer is no.
Then that's amazing.
The answer is no. So
the answer is no. Notre Dame just have to bankroll all of their athletic department, though. So yes. You see the cash flow is very substantial, but it's still going out at a decent clip too, as much as it's coming in. That's
true.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, but I also think the point is the attrition of this tournament now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some teams are playing 6. I think this will be Notre Dame's 16th or 17th game.
Right, they're setting records for wins simply because they've never played this many games.
And other teams have an extra game. Ohio State has an extra game because of the conference championship.
Right,
now, didn't make it.
Yeah,
well, that's right. They didn't
make it. You're right.
Texas would have been the better example. If Texas had won Friday, then Texas, I think, would be playing 17 games because they played in the conference title game and lost, and then had to turn around, and they didn't get the bye like Georgia did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I know the NFL players complain, moan, bitch about the fact that, we didn't want to add that 17th game. We don't want to add an 18th game. The owners do because of the money. But that's so hard on our bodies. It's so hard on our bodies. But now you're taking maybe 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and those kids are playing 16, 17 games. Now they have 2 byes.
Well, and that's the thing. Where does that bye fit into the schedule? What I would think is in future scheduling, and most Notre Dame's scheduled out to 29, even 2030. I'm thinking future schedules. There, you may be seeing a November bye week where you don't see one right now because I think they play 4 straight Saturdays in November. Well, now you may start seeing a bye in week 2 or 3 right before Thanksgiving sometime. The anticipation that will give them a chance to heal up, rest up a little bit, in addition to their November hopefully bye that they might have getting ready for these playoffs.
Yeah, and playoffs. So I mean, it's a tournament, man. It's like the NCAA tournament.
Just like the NCAA, and we talk about in the NCAA tournaments every March about some of these teams that will lose. You think they almost lose on purpose in the Final Four of the tournament, which gives them maybe an extra day or 2 days, before the draw, Sunday draw, to give them some extra time to recover, because we see a lot of times like the Big Ten plays on Sunday and then they have to turn around, and some of them end up playing on a Thursday. So they go home for 2 days and then jump on a plane on Wednesday and play Thursday again.
Yeah,
that's not a very big rest period.
Well, not at all. And if you're the playing game, you're playing on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I was a part of that, being in the NCAA tournament twice when I was at Ball State. You get the Thursday Saturday matchup, or you get the Friday Sunday matchup. And the first one is great because you get 3 or 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is brutal because
you get a 1 day turnaround.
Yeah, and you got some GA, clipping all the films and doing that stuff, but it becomes a walkthrough. It becomes a semi-practice, and it becomes a third walkthrough, and then the following morning, the day of the game, you're either at the place where you're going to play for a shoot-around, or we did walkthroughs taping a floor in a conference room at the hotel.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, when we played a tournament in Hawaii, there weren't a lot of gyms. We pulled into the parking lot at a Walmart in Hawaii, taped the cord off in the parking lot at Hawaii, and walked through. And
right there.
The Hawaiians got the lays on. They're carrying pineapples.
You used somebody's car for our shopping cart for a basket.
Man, but and you know how coaches are. I mean, those walkthroughs, that preparation.
They're important. Yeah, that's just the preparation part. Well, and I talked to some of the media people here in South Bend. I think some of them said they're leaving Thursday this week for Atlanta. So I
think the teams are leaving on Friday, so that would make sense.
Okay,
yeah.
So I was going to say the teams are leaving Friday. That gives them the weekend to be in Atlanta for a Monday night ball game.
Yeah,
go to Magic City.
Yeah, and it's going to be, and a ball game. It's going to be. Both teams. That Ohio State game, 28-14. Texas is going in.
Right.
They're going in for a score to tie it up, and they get the scoop and score by Sawyer, and they end up winning that game. And then obviously just a great, and we'll talk about this game in detail a little bit more. Our show tonight, folks, is we're going to talk about this from just a pure fan standpoint. One of my really good friends who went to Notre Dame, Sean Coleman, is just a Notre Dame diehard fan. We're going to get him on the line at about 6:50, and we're going to talk from a fan's perspective. I did some talking to Fran McDonald. He's in Florida. He could not come on with us tonight. He gave me some points from a player's perspective because he played for Notre Dame.
Sure.
And then we'll talk about the game amongst ourselves here. And then at 7:30, we're going to have Eric Gaff on from the head coach of South Bend St. Joe. South Bend St. Joe's 10-1.
We're going to talk some high school basketball for a little bit.
Just a huge win against Riley, who was 9-1 going into the game. And we'll talk some high school basketball a little bit. We have a lot of things to go over.
Well, here, speaking of high school basketball, tonight's the county tourney finals down in Anderson. Liberty Christian and Anderson are playing in the championship game here at 8:00 tonight after the consolation game. So you're one of your former players is coaching at Liberty Christian.
It's an all Anderson championship game, man.
Sure it is.
Norman Anderson
should be, right?
You've got the 1A school against the 4A school.
Yeah, and Anderson High School's only lost one game, but so I was reading a little bit of a deal about it. So we just jump around all over the place on the show. But I was reading a little deal on the Anderson coaching staff. Basil Malby's on the Anderson coaching staff.
John Hamilton's on the.
John Hamilton's coached everywhere.
He's older than us.
He's older than us.
So is Basil.
He's on the Anderson coaching staff. The head coach at Liberty Christian is a little guard named Norman Anderson, who was the toughest little defender I probably ever coached. He's like 5'8". He's just a tough, hard-nosed kid. In the sectional championship game against Muncie Central at Richmond his senior year, he takes the first 6 shots. We're in the whole 10 zip. 10 zip. He's got the first 6 shots. I call it TO. I said, Norm. He said, Coach, they ain't guarding me. I said they're not guarding you for a reason because you can't score.
You just proved it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Now that's 20 years ago, right? He's he's
yeah.
probably what 40 years old by now.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's not even a kid anymore.
No, but we talk about that all the time, man. You know how many times in the scouting report did you say, "Don't guard this guy; he can't shoot"?
Right.
That's me. That's Norm. but so yeah, no. And high school basketball, I mean, most teams have 10 games in.
Right.
High school basketball's in the swing now.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
January.
it's January.
And conference season.
And we've been so busy talking college pro football, we haven't really given the high school basketball its due. So we're going to try to spend a little bit of time with it tonight.
Yeah, we will about 7:30, and we'll talk to Eric and get some scoop on the Indians. Oh, excuse me, the Huskies.
The Huskies.
I
still thought my idea was pretty good. I was going to call them the Joeys and have a kangaroo for the mascot.
Yeah, I was going to call them the Comanches. If we're going to go Indians, let's go a certain group.
Yeah,
like the Comanches or
Potawatomi.
Sitting Bull. Potawatomis. Or Sitting Bull, and have Sitting Bull as your mascot. For God's sakes.
Oh, Scott, why don't you take us for a break? We're going to get our first guest on the phone, and we will. We'll talk some more about some Notre Dame football.
All right. Just a show note. I'm going to play the video, and then it's going to go straight back to you because I'll probably be still on the phone. But I'll just pipe in and be like, "Hey, he's ready."
Yeah.
Cool.
Does that work?
Perfect.
All right.
Cool.
That's
Medicare plans can be confusing, but they don't have to be. I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I can help you compare your options because I'm appointed with many nationally recognized carriers. With my help, you can find the coverage that fits your needs and budget. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
In times of loss, finding a place that offers comfort, support, and understanding is essential. At Hahn Funeral Home in Mishawaka, they've been helping families honor their loved ones with dignity and respect since 1976. With compassionate professionals who listen to your needs and provide personalized services, Hahn Funeral Home ensures that every detail is taken care of so you can focus on what truly matters. From traditional services to cremation options, Hahn Funeral Home is here to guide you through every step. For more information, visit hahnfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474. Hahn Funeral Home, a family serving families. Looking to hit the road with confidence, Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka has been helping drivers of all ages gain the skills they need for a lifetime of safe driving. With experienced patient instructors, including Pat King, and flexible scheduling, Frick's makes learning to drive easy and stress-free. Whether you're a first-time driver or need a refresher, like heck, Frick's has you covered. Plus, for just $65, Frick's offers the state driving exam in-house. No need to go anywhere else. Visit fricksdrivered.com or call 574-256-0650 to get started today. All right. Oh, no. Yeah, we're good. We back on?
We are on, man. We are
All right.
on.
I think I have him.
Good.
You've got me. You have them?
Hey, as Sonny and Cher once said, I got you, babe. Good. Let me just say this much.
Hey, coaches.
Yeah, so don't ask me what I had for breakfast, but I can remember what Sonny and Cher once said. I got you, babe. You on?
We did.
Oh, did I lose him?
Yeah.
No, I'm here.
It says he's talking on my end.
Can he hear
What
us?
happened? I think so.
What kind of problems we got here? We got the best producer in America.
My thing's been weird today. Hang on, let me unplug it and plug it back in.
Okay. We got the best producer in America.
You doing the Bluetooth? He's trying to fix the phone calls.
Sean, you on?
He's
Where you are, Coach Heck.
It says he's talking. I don't know if he's running.
I am good.
We can hear him some.
How are you?
Am I good?
You're right there. You're golden,
Go
man.
Irish.
You're golden. So anyway, you're on here with
Pat.
the great Pat
Can you hear
King
me?
and me and
Scott's with us too.
and Scott, our producer, is with us. I mean, we talk a lot about the football stuff. I wanted to get the football from the perspective of a huge fan.
We talk a lot about the football stuff. I
got some-
wanted to get the football from the perspective of a huge fan. We talk a lot about the football stuff.
We got some reverb in here. Scott?
All right, hang on.
Anyway,
I know we're
I don't
trying.
have all my equipment, so this is.
I know
this
you
is,
don't.
we
Okay.
will
Whatever you
certainly
need, Scott, just let me know.
we will certainly be here with Sean because I want to be able to hear from a fan's perspective. And I don't think there's a bigger Irish fan than Sean Coleman. Am I right, Sean?
We pick him up every once in a while.
All right, Sean.
Hey, can you hear me, Coach?
Right there, you can hear him.
Right there, I can hear you, man. You good?
Hey, can you hear me?
It's like we're getting the delayed echo. Scott's what we're getting.
This sounds like a 5-second delay.
Yeah, we got the 5-second delay going, Scott.
In my life, I feel like there's a lot of times in my life I've had a 5-second delay.
We need that. We need that with Heck every once in a while. The
Yeah,
referees needed that so we could edit whatever he said to them.
yeah. Do we have it cleaned up yet? Are you?
Scott's working on it.
All right. Well, anyway, I think that Notre Dame game was one of the best college games I've ever seen.
It was a good ball game, that's for sure. Lots of drama. I think a lot of people at halftime were really concerned because Notre Dame was running behind and really didn't look like they had any answers. But boy, they sure made some adjustments at halftime.
Well,
came out and looked like a whole different team third quarter.
Well, and obviously you would have to say an unsung hero would be Steve Angeli.
Oh my goodness. There you could put the argument that he might have been the MVP of the game because without what he did right there at the end of the first half, we might not have had the results that they had.
Well, and he came in, he was cold. Riley Leonard did take a hard shot to the back of the neck. And right when it happened, my first thought was he's got a concussion. And then I thought the official did a great job who was looking straight up into his eyes and probably saw the glassy look in his eyes and, made him go out and get checked out.
Yeah.
But then Steve Angeli's first pass was a great pass right on target. And he came in and here's what a huge Notre Dame fan told me today. He came in and made himself a whole lot of money in that game. Was probably 6 for 7 for 50 yards. Drove him down. They kicked the field goal. Steve Angeli is going to graduate this spring,
right?
And he'll have 2 years of eligibility
that's
left.
Something. He's going to graduate and still have 2 more years.
And he'll have 2 years left. And his comment was he made himself a whole lot of money by maybe being able to go into the portal in the spring, because I think it's too late to go to the portal now. I think the portal is closed right now.
Right.
But and if he decides to stay at Notre Dame, if he decides to stay at Notre Dame, if I was Steve Angeli, I would have to almost have an assurance that I'm going into the spring number 1. Right.
Right.
That's what I would think. But he came in, led Notre Dame down to a wonderful drive, and they kick a field goal. Now Notre Dame is going into halftime with some momentum on their side, which I think was huge because they had 0 momentum throughout the first half.
Oh, I totally agree. There were a lot of 3 and outs, and I really think all the momentum was with Penn State. Penn State was doing having success running the ball, and they had things pretty well their way. And then, like you said, all of a sudden it changed right before the half. We always talk about that middle 8, the last 4 minutes and the first 4 minutes. And but the game before went at the middle 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, it was 56 seconds.
Yeah.
They scored 17 points against
and
Georgia.
here they were again. I mean, that has to be, to me, that has to be something Ohio State's going to have to really guard against, because the last 2 ball games, Notre Dame has really been a game changer as far as momentum in that middle part, right before halftime and right after halftime.
Yeah, and then Notre Dame comes out after halftime and has the ball right away.
Mm-hmm.
And did they go on a score right away to open up the third period?
Yeah, I think they went right down the field and scored.
And so now it's 10-10. It's 10-10, and now you have a brand new ball game, and they score again. Penn State comes back and scores twice. Just when you felt comfortable with the way Notre Dame's defense was playing, and the way and the way now the offense is going. So Penn State comes down and just gashes Notre Dame on 2 straight drives.
Right.
The running game, Notre Dame had no answer for the running game on both of those drives. And Singleton, I think, scored both of those touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, well, the season's over.
It was what, 24? Was it 24-10?
It was 20. It was
24-17. Okay.
Notre Dame was leading 17-10.
Yes.
And Penn State comes down, scores twice, and then Notre Dame gets the ball. We have a double move by Greathouse.
Well, the one guy just slipped. It looked like the guy, he broke his ankles, but you know what? It was mostly a slip and fall.
Yeah. And just a beautiful throw.
And then he makes another move after the catch.
And reverses his field, gets back to the middle of the field, and goes in to score and ties it up. Now Notre Dame now Penn State, I don't know. What is it? How much time's left in the game? Notre Dame had another drive, didn't do anything.
5 minutes maybe.
But Penn State gets the ball back with maybe a minute left, and decide
they was outside the 2-minute warning, so somewhere 2 minutes plus.
Yeah, and their first play, and most coaches will tell you this: when you're tied and you have 80 yards to go, it's the first play that's going to dictate if we're going to be aggressive or if we're not going to be aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
If we get nothing on the first play, if we run a running play, we're stacked up, we get nothing, then we'll run out the clock and go to OT.
Right.
If we get something, then we'll play. Well, they get like a 14-yard run.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they're saying, let's go play.
Right.
And the quarterback goes back. He looks at his first read, looks at his second read. And then his comment was, once he got to the third read, he made the comment that he was going to dirt it. That's exactly how he said it. I was going to dirt it into the ground. And he didn't dirt it into the ground. He was late over the middle. Christian Gray made a great play. Now, if you would have watched or listened to ESPN today, Dan Orlovsky, the ESPN commentator, who was a real good college quarterback, played in the NFL for a while. He broke the defense down on that play, and he showed how Notre Dame maybe started in a man, then broke to a cover 2, then rolled everybody to the coverage. He was talking about how technical and sound Notre Dame's pass defense is, and what a great job Al Golden did on that play, and how that ball was actually intercepted. And his comment was that once the play in the secondary happens, that Notre Dame is really, really, really sound, and they're very, very well coached in the defensive backfield. And he said it was not just a fluke with the interception. He said the Notre Dame guys were exactly where they were supposed to be, and the ball was late over the middle. And Christian Gray just made a great play.
And didn't he just have a pass interference in the end zone, I think, that led to Penn State's most recent touchdown?
Yeah, no, he did. He had a PI, but on that play, he was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And now, so Notre Dame gets the ball back. I don't know, maybe they got to go 20 yards to get in field goal range.
They ran the ball.
They ran the ball.
Yeah.
But now it's 3rd and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, they
Mike
played one for position. They just took a quarterback sneak
Yeah,
into the middle
it's
of the
third.
field.
It's 3rd down and 3, and Denbrock calls a pass where Riley Leonard rolls to his left, throws a little pass over the middle to Greathouse for a 6-yard gain.
He was rolling left,
Yes,
which tells me that was run first and pass if it's there.
And Greathouse makes the catch. And Greathouse had a really good game.
Oh,
Faison,
boy. Yes, he did.
Faison has played really well for him. As probably their number 1 receiver. And Bo Collins was out because he had a little bit of a tweaked hamstring. And Greathouse made a great catch. I mean, kudos for Notre Dame for calling a pass play because they were already at the outer limits of his field goal range.
Right. But if you notice, they rolled him instead of dropped back because they couldn't afford a sack.
Yeah, exactly.
So they rolled him. That gave him the option to go ahead and run it if nobody was open.
Yeah, and they had the faith in their quarterback to do that.
Yep.
Because they could have said, we're on the outer limits. Okay, we're on the outer limits, but we got my guy on Zoom. What's up, partner?
Hey, coaches.
Works.
Good evening.
What's up?
Sometimes it's better to just do it in person.
Hey, that's why our producer,
good job, Scott,
is one of the best in America, man. How you doing, Sean?
I'm great. It's an honor, pleasure to be with you, coaches.
I'm so happy that this worked out, and great job, Scott. All right, so as we talked a little bit before our reverb, we hit the reverb thing on our electric guitar, and we were reverbing it. But
by the way, one of your biggest supporters, did have a comment. Scott, did you see the comment from Q about some of our technical issues?
What'd he say?
Here, I can put it up here.
What'd he say? Because we'll never let him on again if he's too critical.
Well, remember we talked about, you said there was a 5-second delay.
Yeah.
Q said for you it needs to be 10.
Yeah, well, that's okay because I can string words together. I can string words and
sentences instead of phrases.
And string them together with the best of them.
All right.
So we wanted to have the input of a fan, just a fan who's a great Notre Dame fan, man. What's this ride of this postseason been like for you, Sean?
Well, it's almost been unbelievable. I mean, if you go back to the beginning of the season and the expectations, this has exceeded anyone's wildest dreams for this team, especially at the low point after the NIU loss. And trying to make sense out of a young offensive line that seemingly had a long way to go. But everything came together throughout the course of the season in really dramatic fashion. And this playoff has been incredibly exciting.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. And there's in Marcus Freeman's way of coaching, there's a coaching philosophy where you can go one way or you can go the other way. In that NIU loss, some coaches would say, man, we're throwing that film in the trash can. We ain't never talking about it, blah, blah, blah. Or you can go the other way and you can say, I'm going to remind those guys every stinking practice and every game how bad they were, and don't let that happen again. And that's the path that Marcus Freeman chose to take.
Well, and I think from a fan standpoint, they gained more and more believers as the season went along. From that low point to, again, that just the Penn State game itself was just almost unreal in so much as we were behind and struggling, and we won the middle 8 minutes of the game, and then it continued to be a great battle with an ebb and flow, and somehow, I mean, it was by design, at least the coach's design, we came out on top.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Now you're a 1978 graduate of Notre Dame, right?
That's right.
The Joe Montana years, right?
We're the same age.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. I graduated in a national championship season year.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been through this a little bit. Similarities, differences.
Yeah.
Talk about them.
Well, I can say that. I mean, there was a certain expectation of that team, but remember, going into the big game against the Longhorns, we we were number 5 and they were for us to be able to leap to all the way to number 1 with that victory was clearly, it was a statement victory.
Yeah, no, without question. And so you were in Texas during that time, weren't you?
Not yet. No, I was still at Butler then. I graduated in '78 from Butler.
Oh, so Pat graduated in '78, played quarterback at Butler. He would have been at Butler with our boys, Matt Mincheski, Mike Solella, Mike Crobot. Yeah, he knows him well. Lori Fredlake. He knows Lori Fredlake.
Monserrat.
Yeah, I mean, Lori was his little sister, right?
Little sister. Yep.
Well, Lori Fredlake is my oldest friend in the world.
Small world.
Yeah,
right.
Yes, we started hanging out at 3 years old. They lived right around the corner from.
Oh dear, isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So then talk about that 8-year period when we were freshmen in high school, and then we went through college, and we sold programs at every Notre Dame home football game for 8 straight years. Remember that?
That's right. Yes, indeed. We were out every home game Saturday, chasing a few dollars by selling programs.
Yeah. Mr. Weber. I mean, Chuck Weber's dad. I mean, he would know us. He'd say, "Heck, get in here." He'd say, "Sean, get in here." There'd be 150 people waiting out line to sell programs, and he knew us, and he'd call us in there, man. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I think for that 8-year period, I never missed a Notre Dame home game.
Well, I got in early to sell programs because under the friend of Ron Hecklinski's, banner.
Gee whiz.
Yeah. So no, and when we were young,
Mm-hmm.
the programs were $2, right? And
what'd you guys make? 15 cents?
No, we made a dime a program. We got 200 programs. But later on, the programs were 2 beers. When we were in college and maybe our senior year in high school, the program, hey, give me a beer and I'll give you a program. I was
I have
walking
no
along
idea
with.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I had a Chicago Tribune, bag.
Right.
And I mean, later as I got older in college, I'd walk along. All you'd hear was clanging in the bag, man. Hey, I'm selling programs out at the campers, man. I'm going out there. That's where all the rich people were, man. God, Notre Dame football has been a big part of our lives, man.
Well, it truly has. And again, this season, and most specifically this last game, my own family had a text thread going, and it was just unheard of. I couldn't say that my family had ever really gotten on board. These are all my siblings who were texting in as almost on a play-by-play basis during the game. So that's how much excitement there was. My neighbor across the street, he's basically a recluse from November until March. And, the next morning after the game, he popped his head out the door and said, "Hey, how about them Irish?"
I know, man. I know. And I think it's always good for the economy of South Bend. The number I heard, the home game against Indiana University, the number I heard was that it pumped $36 million into the South Bend economy just on that one weekend.
Yeah. And that there's no question about that. Even though the craziness of having a home game in mid-December was like about as outrageous as you could imagine. It's still, the multiplier was huge in terms of the dollars that came into the community.
Yeah. So here it is. It's this time. It's the time for you to do. Give me your prediction and give me your score for the Ohio State game.
Sure. Ohio State 24, Irish 27.
I like it.
That's what I had. That was last week's Penn State score.
That's what and so our producer Scott is a diehard, and I mean diehard Ohio State fan. What do you think about that score, Pat or Scott?
You're muted. We can't hear you.
That's right.
He's been busy working on everybody else's. Now his own doesn't work.
Yeah, but I you know what? I would kind of tend to agree with that, Sean, and I would tell you why. Because one of the strengths of Penn State is they have great athletic receivers. Well, I think the biggest strength of Notre Dame is their defensive backfield and the pressure that Al Golden can dial up and put on a quarterback. I think Will Howard's pretty good. I don't think he's great. So I think it plays right into Notre Dame's hand, man.
Well, I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
So where are you going to watch the game from?
Oh no, I think I'll be watching this from the comfort of my living room.
You'll be at the crib, right? Watching from the crib.
No distractions.
I'll be at the crib. That's right. Yeah. Yep.
All right, man. Well, listen, hey, thanks for taking a couple minutes. Thanks for hanging with us and getting this whole thing straightened out with you on the Zoom. It's great to see you. And we've been on this Notre Dame train for a long time. And we saw Brian Kelly take an unathletic team to play for the national championship against Alabama and got waxed because they didn't have the athletes. But now we see Marcus Freeman with the athletes, right?
I think so. Absolutely.
All right, man. Pat, you got anything for the former politician of St. Joe County?
I just wondered, was today, today was inauguration day. I think we have a new governor today. I don't know. Did they have anything going on here in the city as far as changeover? Was there new people here in South Bend? I don't even know.
No, I can't speak to that. I've stepped away from public office. So I'm basically retired.
Some things he doesn't want to know.
I don't blame you, Sean.
I'm going to the dentist tomorrow morning. Am I going to see you there? Last time I ran into you was at the dentist.
Oh, gee, that's right. What have I been doing tomorrow? No, I have a haircut down at Armando's tomorrow.
All right.
No free ads.
I'll have to go. I'm going down to Armando's to find out what I need to know down there. I'm sure there's a lot of information that's passed around down there.
Well, no doubt.
All right, Sean. Listen, man. Thanks for taking a few minutes. You're the best, man.
Okay.
Peace.
See ya.
Peace, brother. See ya. That's the great Sean Coleman.
At us.
And
you guys hear me now?
Yes.
I don't know what
what the
heck is going on with all my stuff.
We got you, man. It's the fires. How is it out there? I mean,
it's fine out here in Northern California.
There's nothing. I mean, there's no smoke at all or anything.
I think he's north far enough.
Yeah, I'm like north of San Francisco.
Oh man,
so we're far enough away from it that it's not really affecting us. We go to no, I don't see LA here in the next little while, so I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I talked to some people north of Phoenix today, and they said they've got smoke and ash falling out of the air, from the fires all the way. I think they're maybe an hour north of Phoenix. So anyway, you may run into that here in a couple of days. Hey, that was fun. Yeah, no, that's just from a fan standpoint.
No
X's and O's.
No, not knowing if they're running cover 2 or cover 1 or how many guys are blitzing. And that's a guy that, and I was going to say that's a kid. He's my own age.
Yeah, you guys
went to high school together, and he went to Notre Dame, and he's just a Notre Dame guy, man. Every tailgate, every home game, there's a tailgate with us St. Joe guys and they all went to Notre Dame, and so I thought it'd be kind of cool. Well, I did talk to Fran McDonald, and Fran McDonald was a walk-on for Notre Dame, and again, kind of back in the day, back when Montana, and actually was in school when Sean was in school.
Okay,
and he's in Florida, so I couldn't get him on the show. But he did make a couple of comments to me. He said he did some work on Penn State, Ohio State, and Penn State, Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. He said it was quite interesting that Notre Dame had more passing yards against Penn State than Ohio State had against Penn State, and even with Ohio State's elite receiving core that during the season that Riley Leonard outgained, Will Howard from the air.
Right.
He gave me the score. I believe he said 24-21 on Notre Dame, and
so it's going to be a close game. I think it will be a close game.
Well, it's here's my take on it, Pat. I think, and Scott. I mean, Scott knows this as well as anybody because Scott is an Ohio State expert. I mean, Notre Dame has to do a couple of things to even stay in the game, right, Scott?
I think if they try to play man, they're gonna give up 56 points. Just because, like, you can say what you want. Xavier Watts is very good. I know their corners are very good. Ohio State has 4 first-round NFL receivers, and they're not going to be able to guard all of them all the time.
It's a good point.
So obviously, if Will Howard has time to throw the football, it could be a long day for Notre Dame, right?
And his stock has gone skyrocketing in the last month.
Yeah, Will Howard has, I think, 3 of the top 12 QBRs in the playoffs, and he hasn't had a PFF grades or whatever. But sometimes they can tell a decent story. But he hasn't had a PFF grade below 90 since the playoffs started.
Well, hey, let's we've got a few minutes here. You went to the ball game in Dallas this past weekend with your cousin and your wife and the boyfriend. The 4 of you went. Tell us about your Saturday at Jerry World this past weekend.
Well, it was Friday.
Friday. I beg your pardon.
Friday's a weekend. Come on, man.
Yeah, good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was fun. The Texas people obviously showed up in force, and I think pretty much we all knew they would. But I mean, it was a balanced crowd for the most part. I'd say probably 60-40 Texas, but that's kind of to be expected, right? When they only had to drive 3 hours north from Austin,
right. Well,
or
most of them are local.
Even if everybody lives in Austin, yeah, and I would imagine a lot of them are local to the DFW area too. But
let me ask you that. Let me ask you this about one behind the scenes thing. Dallas had a bunch of snow, right? The biggest talk around here was the pregame. Were they going to move that game a day later simply because the weather was so bad? They were afraid the people wouldn't be able to get to the parking lots and travel time, to and from the ball game. How were the roads, and was that even an issue around the parking lots?
No, it ended up being fine because once the snow actually stopped on Thursday evening or so, they had basically all Thursday night and all of Saturday during the day to at least try to clear the roads or get some salt and sand on it. And then Friday the sun was out all day, so
okay,
it was sunny and like 38 all day Friday. So any stuff that was on the roads was pretty well gone by the time it was time to leave to go to the stadium.
The pictures that we saw up here, like the 5 High overpass and stuff like there above Central, was completely shut down. There were cars sideways on it, and they showed some things over in Fort Worth where they had some huge pileups where they had black ice on the bridges and stuff. But
anybody trying to drive like Thursday afternoon when it was still coming down in force, like it was.
That was Thursday.
Yeah, you probably thought you were back home in South Bend. Didn't you?
Yeah, well, and fun fact, we on the way home from the stadium, I got pulled over because I was doing like 8 over, and the cop goes, you should slow down, especially around in this weather. And I'm like, in this weather? What are you talking about? The roads are clear. But I'm like, dude,
did you tell him you're an Indiana kid?
No, I didn't say anything to him. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, sure. But me and Sophia are looking at each other, and my cousin and her boyfriend are in the car too, and we're all from the Midwest. Like, what are you talking about? This is a full speed ahead day in the Midwest,
man.
Yeah. What are we doing?
What kind of tickets did you have?
I was in section 314, which is like the outskirts of the club level.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So
314, row 10, seat 12.
You had a lot of people above you, didn't you?
Yeah, we had quite a few above us.
I bet.
And I didn't really have a chance to turn around and look high above us because I don't really think I could have seen too far, but I would imagine the entire south side of the stadium was pretty well scarlet and gray. We had a couple of Texas people around us, and they were all really nice. I'd mentioned to one of them behind us that once the game was over, I looked back and I said, you know why Texas lost, right? It's because they benched the kicker with the great hair. And he's like, yeah, that's a good point. Flower Mound's finest, Bert Auburn.
They did bench him.
Yeah, he didn't kick any of the PATs.
Wow.
And neither team attempted a field goal. They were just PATs. But when Texas scored their first touchdown and this guy comes out and I go, who is this dude? That's not Bert. Where's Bert?
Where's Bert?
Where's Bert? Exactly.
Bert and Ernie.
That was. I felt bad for that kid, and he's a record-setting kicker, right? He
Texas
was a record-setting kicker.
Auburn. Yeah. But me and the UT people behind us, we were talking, and they were like, "Yeah, Bert's just got the yips," and Sark benched him, and I'm like, I kind of don't blame him if he's got.
That's a bad time to have the yips.
Yes. So Sark really, has done a great job of rejuvenating his career.
Oh boy!
And I think the biggest thing when he had his problems at Southern Cal and they were alcohol related and he had some issues, and then he got fired at Southern Cal, but then he went and worked for Nick Saban at Alabama. I mean, number one, first of all, just as an analyst,
right,
breaking down film and going back to doing the GA grunt stuff,
learning how to coach again.
Yeah, and Nick Saban, works him in a little bit. Then he becomes the offensive coordinator. Then he's ready to take off again. He's got his life back together. And now he's at a place in his life where he was always a great football mind, always a great football mind. But now he's got his priorities. We hope, knock on wood, because we know that those demons can always resurface. But he just seems to have everything rolling, and he's probably got one of the best jobs in the country at Texas.
Oh boy,
because they love football.
Yes, and you get to the Final Four like they did. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment in itself. And you can't sit there and question someone's coaching skills, when they lose a game from the Final Four.
Yeah, even as they're on, what was it, Scott? The 12-yard line, 15-yard line, getting ready to go in and tie the game, as the fumble occurred. Tell me about that.
They they pretty much drove the length of the field on that one, and they got down to, I think, about the 4, threw a ball to the end zone, Ohio State got called for a PI, ran another play, another PI. So they moved it from the 2 to the 1.
Yeah, they had first and goal from the 1, didn't they?
Yeah, so they had it first and goal at the 1. Yeah, first and goal at the 1. Texas tries to line up like jumbo formation, tries to just run it straight ahead. They end up losing a yard. Second down was the sweep that got strung out and went for a loss. Third down was a pass to the end zone that Ohio State basically dropped 7 and only rushed 4, and nobody was open. And so Quinn basically just threw it away. And then fourth down was the fumble that went the other way.
They blitzed him.
They did not.
Jack
Sawyer. No, if you watch the replay, Jack Sawyer made that right tackle like bend over at the waist and look down. He beat him that bad.
Wow.
Quinn had no time.
So defensively, we all know the Ohio State strength and what they can do offensively with the weapons that they have. Talk about their defense a little bit.
It was the same thing that Texas had. Texas has dudes at every level that are big, fast, strong. And I think the reason people are getting on Sark because of that toss sweep play, that they're like, oh, that's such a bad play call. Why would he call that? Because Texas is very fast on offense, and against pretty much every other team in the country except for maybe Notre Dame and Ohio State, that play will work because they can get outside, turn the corner, and score.
You can't run sideways on them.
You can't do that against Caleb Downs.
No.
And
they're just going to run you right out of bounds.
They are very, very good at all 3 levels of the defense. Between D-line has 4 guys that can get after you, and they stop the run very well. Linebackers are disciplined, and the DBs. I know who's the other safety for Notre Dame other than Xavier Watts. What's the dude's name?
It could be Schuler, number 8, and sometimes they don't line up in twin safety. Sometimes they have what they call a Viper, which is a hybrid safety type linebacker.
Well, and Jim
like
Knowles
a strong safety.
Yeah, Jim Knowles has tried to incorporate that a little bit with the Ohio State secondary because they're so deep in the secondary. But Lathan Ransom and Caleb Downs as the main 2 safeties for Ohio State is the best safety tandem in the country. Like not even a question. And I know Xavier Watts is very good. I would take Caleb Downs and him even as a homer. Caleb Downs would be a top 5 pick this year. Yeah, and he's only a sophomore.
Yeah, and he's his ability to think his way through a game and play ahead of everybody. Yeah, I mean everybody would take Caleb Downs. Hey, listen, why don't you take us to a commercial, Scott, and then we'll hook up with the great Eric Gaff, who's got the Indians, who's got the Huskies rolling, man. All right, thanks, Scott.
We'll be right back. I got an OH from Dakota in the chat, and I'll say IO to that, and then we will be right back.
When the time comes to say goodbye, you want a place that offers more than just services. You want care, understanding, and support. Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka has been helping families honor their loved ones with respect and compassion since 1976. Their team of caring professionals takes the time to understand your needs and offer personalized solutions that reflect the life and wishes of your loved one. From traditional funeral services to cremation options, Han Funeral Homes is here to guide you through this difficult time with grace. For more information, visit hanfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
Looking to get your driver's license? Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka makes it easy with the Indiana State Driving Exam in-house for just $65. No formal driver's education is required. If you're 16 years and 270 days old, which is like 9 months, and have held an Indiana learner's permit for at least 180 days, which is like 6 months, you're eligible. Frick's provides the vehicle. Just bring a ride to and from the office. The exam takes only about 20 minutes, and you can walk out with your official Indiana driver's license, which we call it an operator's license. To schedule, call 574-256-0650 or visit fricksdrivered.com.
Hey, we're back. We have got gonna switch topics here for a little bit. Talk high school basketball with the head coach of the St. Joe basketball team that we still can't figure out the name for. It is Mr. Eric Gaff.
Hey, listen, man, that band in the background is so freaking good. That's the Black Sedan Band out of Birmingham, Alabama. And if you ever have a party, and I don't know, Eric, you're young, man. You're a young guy. Pat and I are 2 old dudes. We don't have parties anymore. But if you ever have a party at the crib, put the Black Sedan Band on Bluetooth and listen to their music. It's amazing. The reason I say that is because my brother's the drummer in the band out of Birmingham, Alabama. So we have the great Eric Gaff, man, just a great, great young high school basketball coach in this area who just happens to have his St. Joe Huskies at 11-1. Man, what a great start you have to the season so far, huh, Coach?
Yeah, we're rolling pretty good right now. Not a lot to be mad at right now, sitting at 11-1, and looking to keep it going.
Yeah, so you're in that stage now of the season where I like to call it the gauntlet in these next 4 games. You played Riley to a great game. We'll talk about that game. You play South Bend, Washington. You play Northwood, and then you play Penn in this next 4-game set. And and everybody's got to go through and play games like that to get yourself tournament ready. But it's and really as a coach, sometimes it's a fun part of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the most fun. Like every game's a big game. There's always a lot of buzz going around town. At the Riley game, everybody was all hyped up, and now we got Washington coming in, and people are hyped up for that. So the guys are extra locked in practice and keeping us on our toes as coaches, making sure we bring them a good practice and keep them rolling.
Well, one of the things that helps you, you've got quite a few veterans this year, don't you? From your tourney run last year, you've got some people coming back, and they know how to handle some of these, quote, big games here, even in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I mean, anytime, and you guys can speak on this as well, is anytime you can go on a run with a team and you bring those guys back, they have a little bit more confidence in big games. I think that helped us beat Riley. I think last year we lose that game just because we didn't have the confidence in tight games and big games like that. And, we're able to find a way to beat them on Friday. And so there's a little bit of an air of, I don't want to say arrogance, but like confidence in those moments where we know what we're doing, we trust each other, and we know we can get the win.
Well, I was going to say there's that fine line between arrogance, cockiness, and confidence. And in that Riley game, we didn't see the game, but you were up 14 in the fourth quarter, and they made a run at you and came back and made it close. And like you said, the confidence that your kids have as being veterans, they've been through that before. They knew how to handle it. And it was a road game too. They could have cracked. And to their credit, you guys came out with a win.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple timeouts in the fourth quarter, and looking my guys in the eyes. I mean, not one of them was shook or nervous, or they just knew what we had to do to win, and they kept taking care of business for us.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I know at some point in time you guys were ranked number 1 in the state. Are you still ranked number 1 in the state?
In 3A, possibly. I don't know.
Last week they were.
Yeah. Last week you were, and so my question is, when I was in Anderson and I had a lot of good teams, and we were ranked number 1 in the state. My teams like that, and some coaches would downplay that. But I always thought that was really cool, and I always thought that was a great thing then to be able to talk to your kids and say, hey, so now you got to play like this. Does that affect you, or do you not even mention that or even play into where they're ranked?
If it was like 20 years ago, I don't think I would talk about it too much. But now, I mean, the kids know before I know what they're ranked, and they know all this stuff because information's everywhere. So we talk about, I told the guys, one of our guys, I think, said, well, we're being hunted now. And I said, why do we have to be hunted? Why can't we do the hunting? Like, just because we're number 1 doesn't mean we stop hunting. Let's go out and get some of these W's out here, and we'll play like we deserve to be number 1. And then, I think the guys kind of take a little bit of, confidence from it that, a team from up north is getting some recognition, and they play with that air of we deserve it.
Yeah, I think that is 100% true, and I think I know so many coaches that used to tell me we downplay that. I don't even mention it, blah blah this, and I used to always say, man, how many times in your career do you get to be number 1, or have your guys worked enough or hard enough to be number 1, and you have that one team or 2 teams or 3 years or whatever where you're good, and I used to say, man, if you don't enjoy that, then you ought to not be in the business. And so that's where I always think it's cool and it's good as long as players can keep it in the right perspective.
I agree with you 100%. There's got to be some joy in this world, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I'm looking at some of the names right below South Bend St. Joe off of last week. Number 2, Cathedral. Number 3, Crispus Attucks. There's 2 Indianapolis teams right there that have pretty good credentials and have a pretty good season. Their numbers 2 and 3. And then Kaufman Wren's Silver Creek team, the Dragons, down there just north of Louisville, are right there at number 4. And possibly a regional opponent. You've got Northwood looking at you as number 5. So, yes, it's early. Yes, it's January. One of the things Eric, I remember my coach back in the day told us, and I still remember this day about it, because one of the teams I was on was pretty good back a long, long time ago. He said, don't drown in your own ink. And I can still remember what he meant by that, is quit believing those newspaper clippings. And, you've got to go to work. And he would remind us, on Mondays and Tuesdays at practice, get back to work. And, he said, you've earned it, but you've got to continue to earn that. But I still remember that quote he would tell us is, don't drown in your own ink.
Yeah, you know what I'd have said if he told me that? What do you mean, Coach? I'm a Polish kid from the West Side. I don't know what that means, man. Come on, spell it out to me.
Do you know how he spelled it out to us? We got on the line. And
Get your ass on the line and run a suicide.
We were running suicides in 25s and 26s back then. That was the reminder.
Well,
it wasn't the first guy. Everybody had to be in.
Well, no, and Eric could run that in 24, 25, 26, as long a legs you have, right, man?
The high school, maybe, not the college floor.
Many, many years ago, maybe, if I was lucky.
Well, we know some of your players. Tell me about these younger players you've got, because you had a couple of young players last year that were freshmen, sophomores that are now a year older. And how's your recruit working from Indianapolis? You guys must have some pretty good NIL money come in this year.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, Ethan,
so you've got a few new faces.
Yeah, Ethan. We were fortunate to get him to come in out of Indianapolis, and man, not only is he a great locker room guy, he's a good, quiet leader that leads by example, but man, he's a heck of a point guard.
Hey, let me interrupt you. Is his dad still teaching in Indianapolis, or did he find a job up here?
No, he teaches in Kenny Roseman is a really good friend of mine. Kenny was the head coach at Chittard High School in Indy. He was the head coach at Washington High School in Indy. He's a great friend of mine. And I talk to Kenny all the time because his other son plays at Holy Cross. And I do a lot of the Holy Cross games. And Kenny's always up here. And then when he told me about Ethan, he said, hey, tell me about St. Joe. I said, what do you mean tell you about St. Joe? I went to St. Joe, man. It's the best. And I am so happy that Ethan is with you, man, because Ethan is the best kid ever.
He is. He's been fantastic for us. Great on the court, great off the court. He's been a great addition for us. He's that steady hand for us, in all the games. And then our youngsters have really, really worked hard to improve and to give themselves a right to be called one of the best in the area. So Elijah King's grown up a lot for us, and Nick Shrewsbury's grown up a lot for us. And so we have a pretty powerful 1, 2, 3, 4 punch with King, Shrewsbury, Roseman at the point guard, and Konechny. By the way, Konechny, sitting in there.
By the way.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Been 22 a game. Oh, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, by the way. So,
Konechny, is he the only senior?
No, we have a couple seniors on the floor. We have Brayshawn Woods, who's our undersized interior player, and we have AJ.
That's the lefty that goes left, right? Just a hard.
That's the lefty that goes left.
Lefty. Yes.
He gets there too.
I know. I mean, those scouting boards, man. KYP, know your personnel. Don't let him go left. Every time I watch it, he goes left.
He doesn't practice, and I'm like, guys, you've been playing with him for 4 years. Like, you haven't figured this out yet? Come on, force him to go right. That just speaks to his abilities too, how quick he is his first step.
But, he's really quick.
Well, in the Riley game, you just mentioned you had 4 guys in double figures, which goes a long way. That's hard to scout. Now it helps when one of them has 30, of course.
Yes.
But for the other 3 to come in, Roseman 16, King 14, Shrewsbury 13. That's pretty steady.
And I think they do it in a pretty. They do it in a way that I think makes them hard to guard. They're unselfish with moving the ball, and I think they're very efficient with the shots they get. So like Ethan, I think he missed 1 shot, for the game. And Shrewsbury, I think, missed 2 or 3 shots. And then our 2 kind of horses with King and Knesny that take the primary shots were pretty efficient in their shots as well. So when guys are doing that, it makes me look good. It wasn't any plays drawn, but just guys being talented in their abilities.
Just remind them it's all coaching.
Well, no.
Remind them it's all coaching.
That's when you are really good, because you don't have to run a set to get them something, and so you're the most dangerous when they're doing it on their own, and a coach can't say, here's this set, here's what we got to do. That's what made the motion offense so strong over the years with Coach Knight, because it was just arbitrary cutting, arbitrary screening, and you never knew where it was coming from.
Yeah. I wish motion was easier to teach, man. I tell you what, we try our best, but we haven't gotten to Coach Knight's level of teaching yet. But when you get your players to be their best, and they can go out there, and I don't think you can scout it when guys just are able to get in positions that are good for them and good for the program.
Yeah. So are you still doing anything with your matchup zone that you played a couple years ago?
Yeah. So we tweaked it a little bit for this year. And we kind of hit it for a while. We kind of brought it out against Riley, and I thought that's what was able to get us into a lead. We kind of messed them up, but they weren't sure where to. We tried to disguise it as all good zones, look like a man-to-man, and so we try and throw that in every so often to try and keep guys on their toes. And the guys, to the credit of our players, man, they did a great job with it. We were a little nervous because we hadn't run it against big opponents. We kind of threw it in as practices in different games, and they did a great job with it. I thought they really hurt Riley with it.
Who's on your coaching staff this year?
Brought everybody back. We got Big Harold Swan again.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's been great for us. You can never doubt that man's passion as a coach. And when he's speaking to our guys, man, you can just feel the passion. You feel the love he has for the game and the love he has for our guys. So he's been awesome pouring into our young men here. And we have Lee Ross and Landon Booker, who both do a great job with our guards.
That's your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys, and see, those guys all, but the nice thing is, see, those guys all have credentials. They've been there as players. They've had some success as players. And the kids have to listen to them. They'd be fools not to. And that goes a long ways.
We'll put Booker out on the floor and make guys try and guard him. He crushes guys.
So when you're playing,
Booker was my lockdown guard. Booker locked down Smooge. I mean, he fouled Etuan Moore out in the regional in Michigan City 10, 12 years ago, whenever it was. Fouled his ass out. And Etuan Moore was pretty good.
Yeah, so let me ask you this question. When you're playing against the big, do you ever get in there a time or two and post up against them?
We hired another big guy who's to play the Bethel. He's younger. He gets on the floor and does that for me.
Good.
I'm old, man. I'm fragile. I can't get hurt.
No, I know, man. I know, man. I used to always think I could. Even when I was like in my 50s, I said, man, here's how you do this. Play. And they said, Coach, come on, man. Get off, Coach. I said, no, play. Let's play.
When I was his assistant at Mishawaka for those 3 years, he'd stick my ass down there on the post when we'd be doing, ball reversal drills on defense. And they'd have kids, they were told, you got to bump the post. Hell, they were down there bumping me. God damn, leave me alone. I'm the old man.
Yeah, man.
Keeps you young. That's
what it was. That's what it was.
Well, so I just want you to know, so obviously I'm a St. Joe guy, man, and every night you play, I check those scores, and I'm tickled to death to see the success that St. Joe's having, but not only St. Joe, because you're you do this the right way. I mean, some guys are in this for the wrong reasons, but you're in this for the right reasons, man. You love those kids and you coach those kids up, man. I appreciate watching your teams play.
I appreciate it. Very kind of you.
As we get into tournament time, your sectional is not going to be an easy one again, is it?
No, we're loaded.
It's again, and and for the last 5 to 6 years, the word has always been whoever wins that sectional has a great opportunity to go clear to Indianapolis, and it's held true a couple times. and with you and Robbie over at Mishawaka Marion. So, and then you always get the opportunity to look at what Northwood in the regional, don't you?
Yeah, that's an easy out, right? Jesus, Christmas.
Luckily, North Ridge is up at 4A because it's funny those teams get to play I think each other this week. So, how good's Washington? I haven't seen them play yet.
I think they're really good. I think Coach Vargas done a good job with those young men over there. Obviously, real talented, led by a heck of a player, and Mr. Reynolds over there, and their point guard is, to me, he needs to get more credit. Their point guard is just tough as all get out. He's not afraid of anybody. Doesn't back down. So it's gonna be a tough out. It's gonna be a fun game. Another fun, tough battle that will be.
No, that's a home. That's a home game for. That's a home game for you, isn't it?
Thank the Lord. Yeah, we're home.
Yeah. And then you have Northwood at home, right?
Yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, St. Joe's rocking in January. I love it, man.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, listen, man, thanks for taking, a couple minutes out. I know you're busy. I know whenever you get to be home, your family time is really important to you. So thanks for taking a couple minutes out of your time and talking some St. Joe Husky basketball with us, man. Good luck to you the rest of the season.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on. And anytime you guys want to get to a practice, tell us how to get better. You're always welcome.
All right, Eric. Good luck to you the rest of the way, man. Thanks,
Eric.
Appreciate you. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Yeah, he's a really good coach, and he makes a good point. We should go to a couple high school practices. I mean, not that I'm gonna coach
just
again anymore.
Just like when we're watching, we'll go over to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
We're talking about getting back over to them too. Notre Dame's on right now. As a matter of fact, they've got a home game. I've kind of been looking to see if they show the crowd at all to see how many people are at the game. It's hard to tell. Students, I think, are coming back. Are they back this week? I think they were.
Well, they're playing Boston College, so we'll see.
This is a game they need to win.
Yeah, I mean they're just coming off of a tough. I was
going to say that's a pretty quick turnaround after they played Duke,
they had a Saturday Monday game. Yeah, they just got back from Duke Saturday night, and they had one day to turn around and play BC.
So did you see that was the Cooper Flag? I think his game the other day was tied for the most points by an ACC freshman ever.
I mean, what did he get? 40? Drop 40 on the Irish?
He had 42. He got 2 free throws.
He's obviously the number one draft pick. But listen, back to some local basketball this year has been good.
They've been off to a good start. Like I said, we've been so busy talking college football, college basketball, pro football, everything but the high schools. And here we are, as you said, we're 10, 12 games into the season. They're at their halfway point. The conference seasons have both started. Even we obviously being up here north, we look at the Northern Lakes and the Northern Indiana conferences, along with a little bit of the Duneland, but they've only played 1 or 2 games. But last week was some fun ones. We look here what the NIC, Coach mentioned St. Joe and Riley with a 2-point ball game. Riley had a chance they had the ball at the end and just missed the shot.
Yeah, and Riley 9-2. I mean, Alex Daniel doing a pretty good job, but the Jones kid, the really good player from Clay, as a sophomore, Tyrese Jones was one of the best sophomores in Northern Indiana. He goes into Riley, and you put in with Marvin Schindler and Barbero, and you throw him in that mix as another guard. He's really talented. I think he went for maybe 30.
He had 30. He had 30 the other night. He had 20 at halftime.
Yeah, he's really, really good. So Riley has a chance to continue to be really good now. And Riley plays at Adams, and so
the boys are Thursday this week. The girls still get the couple Fridays.
Yeah. So I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't say something about it. Yeah, but Riley at Adams.
And Adams is 8-3. They've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah,
they were
8-3, but now they're without their head coach, Chad Johnston, who
he sat out the other night.
A little altercation with a a player in the handshake line from Edwardsburg.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not privy to what went on. You aren't either.
No, we don't know anything more than what we saw on the highlights.
Yeah, and so he's been suspended for those actions, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see where that goes if he comes back or not.
Yeah, that's too bad that something like that's going on.
Yeah, because they're off to a great start. I mean, they were really 8-0 and lost their last 3. South Bend, Washington. I mean, South Bend, Washington is 9-1.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about the South Bend schools 9-1, 8-3, 9-2, St. Joe 11-1. Marion, I saw Marion play. They're 8-5.
Right.
They're struggling a little bit, but they tore up New Prairie. I mean, New Prairie's really, really hurting. But it's good high school basketball. People need to get out and watch some of this high school basketball in this area.
And then, just to finish up some of the games this week, as you said, Riley's at Adams Thursday night. Washington's at St. Joe Thursday night. And then,
so why are these games Thursday night?
Because of Title IX. Because the girls are playing on Friday.
Well, because Mishawaka Wawasee is still Friday.
That's a different conference.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And in the Saturday game, Riley has a fun weekend. Thursday, they play at Adams, and Saturday, they go to Fishers. They're getting ready to go play the #1 team in the state.
Yeah, and so my definition of fun would probably not be that because Fishers, you want to talk about a really good high school basketball team. Their 2 guards are sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jason Gardner and Randy Zachary back in the day were great high school basketball players. Jason Gardner played at North Central. Randy Zachary played at Anderson Highland. Randy Zachary had a great career at Ball State. Jason Gardner had a great career at Arizona. Now they're sons.
Right.
Their sons are the 2 guards for Fishers.
Well, here, let me tell you some stories about why I'm sitting here instead of coaching basketball still.
Because your cardiologist told you to?
Well, yeah, no, because I had a couple.
Because you got chemo face.
Chemo round 2 chemo face. Yeah. Athletic directors didn't like the idea that on for Saturday nights I wanted to go to Indianapolis and play some people. I've still got former players that'll tell me, Coach, do you remember when we went down to Indianapolis and played Arlington when Delco Rowley was playing Michigan State?
I remember Delco Rowley.
Then we had another couple of years later. Coach, remember when we went to Carmel and played Carmel like the week after they played Lawrence North, and then we had their tape of Connolly and Oden, and Carmel had a guy named Josh McRoberts that ended up going to Duke.
Yes.
And you sent us down there to think we were going to play with them. So, yeah. And then we went to Fort Wayne Southside with when they had a guy named Raphael Davis. So who went to Purdue, and I think he's still on TV on the Big Ten Network doing ball games. So, yeah, those were the ball games. But I thought it was important for our team and our program to have those chances to do that. You know, we went to the Wigwam and played, 3 or 4 times?
Yes, you did. We came to Adams and played.
Yes, we did. You went to St. Joe one time, too. And one year we opened the season with the Marion Giants, and it was the year after they had been to the state finals and lost on that last-second shot to Brownsburg when they had a guy, Scott, what was his name?
Yeah, named Gordon Hayward, something like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and Marion also had Julius Mays and Scott Wood.
Mays, yep, and Scott Mays. So, yeah, we saw them. And
Scott Wood, 6'7" shorter.
That went to NC State.
NC State, yep.
And it's like, Coach, why did we do that?
So wait a minute. Your player said that,
big
right?
Gems.
Yeah, 10 years later.
So you know what I'm going to say?
10 years later.
I'm your buddy, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, what the hell are you doing, man?
But you know what? They loved it. They loved it. It's like, Coach, where are we going? But they got to play again. Just like we came to Anderson and played, and you guys go to DeMatha the next week. They got ESPN down there, doing previews, and our kids are on ESPN the next week for when they're advertising your team.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember when Chicago Corliss came to Adams to play us?
Yeah,
and they kicked our butts. But I remember when they walked in the gym, all of them are looking around like, man, this gym is huge. And I'm like, this gym's small. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but all those Chicago gyms they're on the second floor of the school. They're on the second floor of the school. There's 4 sets of bleachers that go up each side.
Right.
And they come here and they see some of these gyms, and it's amazing. So my first year at Anderson, we play Chicago Mount Carmel.
Oh boy. Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
I remember. Okay.
Okay, the two starting guards for Chicago Mount Carmel. Antoine played for the Celtics. Antoine
Walker.
Antoine Walker played for Kentucky. Donovan McNabb, quarterback for the Eagles.
Yeah.
The two starting guards. I'm going. Wait a minute. Last year I was at Ball State, and these guys could have played at Ball State this year. What are we doing? And we get beaten overtime because when you play against good players, your players rise up.
They have to play better. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Well, let's look at the Northern Lakes. We're talking about, the South Bend schools. Northwood, state finals, 2 years ago?
Aaron Wolf, a Manchester College graduate, 12-1.
And the
He's the one
Roush
that called
boy,
you guys pillars of society.
Yeah, Yeah.
He did, didn't he?
Yes, he's a great guy.
We got to get him on here.
We are the biggest Northwood podcast in the world.
We are, and we're going to make sure we continue that.
Yes, pillars of society.
They've played two games in a conference. Now the big game the other day was this one here. Warsaw Northridge played. Northridge is actually ranked in the top 5 in 4A.
They're really good.
But they had a problem. They had to go to Warsaw. Now, Warsaw was number 4 and number 9, and Warsaw, you're 20 points behind when you walk in the gym.
Yeah,
that's still left over from the Al Rhodes days.
Well, so when I was at Anderson, we played at Warsaw a time or two, and I think I was 25 in the hole before I walked in.
Now, how did your red uniforms look on that orange floor?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Oh.
That was terrible.
I would have probably worn green that game.
But so Northridge has a player named Mason Bales.
Oh, yeah.
That's his dad. His dad, Ryan Bales, was the head coach of Plymouth,
and he's now the AD at Northridge.
At Northridge, he committed to Bethel. He's a really good player.
Yes.
The Warsaw coach, Matt Moore, had a kid play for Olivet Nazarene. His name was Yeager. 6'8". He graduated from Warsaw last year. I did the game, Holy Cross, Olivet Nazarene, and I saw Coach. So it's a Wednesday night. Warsaw, practicing, probably got over at 6:00.
Right.
So instead of going home and being with his family, Coach Moore drives over to Holy Cross to watch his kid
7:30 ball game.
Yeah, to watch Yeager play. And we talked after the game. His eyes are red. You could just tell when people are tired.
Right.
When they're exhausted. But
sure.
He's sitting there.
He's on fumes.
Watching his ex-player play.
Right. Well, the big game this week in that conference, Northwood is at Northridge.
Yeah, that'd be a
fun one to go to in the new gym. Northridge has got that new gym.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. Plymouth. So Plymouth has been down, I don't know, the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Their football team this year was better. Their basketball team now 7-5. Plymouth beats Mishawaka last Friday night, 61-39. I did not do that game, but Plymouth has been everybody's game to win the last 4 or 5 years.
They've been everybody's homecoming game.
And now Plymouth is winning again.
And I think they host that sectional this year.
They do.
They host that sectional. But we were looking here at the statewide 4A. We were talking about still Indianapolis schools. Fishers, Lawrence North, Northridge was 3 last week. They'll drop out of that a little bit. Greenfield, right behind them is Anderson in that same sectional.
Yeah, no, the Mullins kid that's going to UConn.
Yeah, he's the real deal, and they're talking to him, Mr. Basketball, possibly.
Yeah, and Jimmy Etherington is back coaching at Lawrence as assistant coach at Lawrence North. He talks about his team and how good they are. But here's the deal with Fishers. Imagine Jalen Harrelson playing for Fishers.
Oh, yes.
He, as a sophomore, he left and went to Lalamere.
Right.
And is now committed to Notre Dame. But imagine if you throw Jalen Harrelson on that number 1, and they wouldn't have stayed last year.
They wouldn't have stayed without him.
Last year, and they're the best team in 4A this year without him.
I know. And we meant these are last week's polls. We'll get new polls that come out tomorrow. St. Joe, we said, is number 1. Cathedral, Attic, Silver Creek, and Northwood in 3A. 2A, your old team. Wapahani's number 1. Bishop Lures, Park Heritage, Linton, 21st Century's That's one of the Gary schools.
Yeah, so Wapahani is coached by Matt Luce. His older brother Joe was the head coach at Marion, at Jeffersonville,
Richmond a little bit.
Richmond is now the head coach at Tippy Valley.
Right.
But Matt has been at Wapahani for 20 years and has just done a great job. Last year, I think they got beat in the semi-state.
Yeah, they were one game away, I think.
Yeah, because the tornado went through the town last year.
That's right.
The week of the semi-state.
That's right.
That's all. I mean, the talk was the tornado and how the basketball guys helped out. But Matt Luce is a great coach, and Wapahani's up there again, man. And 1-8, Clay City.
That's on the river.
Orleans,
that's just south of Bedford.
Bloomfield,
that's south of Bedford. They're neighbors.
Couts,
that's up here by us. That's over in Porter County.
And Indy Metro.
That's the 1As. That's the little guys. Now, they have changed the amount of schools in the conference or in the divisions. What is it? 1A is like 120 teams. So they'll have a lot of 8-team sectionals. 2A and 3A, I think, are 80 or 100. And then the 4A is the smallest. So tourney time, you're going to see some 4-team sectionals in 4A.
Yeah. Now, is that good? I don't know if that's good. I don't like that. I mean, I like those 8-team sectionals.
Yeah,
You got that opening
school
round, that semifinal round on Friday, and that championship round on Saturday. Now, how about Penn? I mean, Penn's down this year, 6-5. Coach Kuhlman's kid is a freshman. He's starting at point guard. He's 6'5". But what
I think they're just going to keep getting better.
And what I see about Penn is they can't score. They have a hard time scoring. But you can't say that about Riley. I mean, Riley can score him. St. Joe can score. Washington can score him.
Right.
If I was a basketball fan in the city of South Bend, bada bing, I would get out and watch some games.
Go find some games. It's still, $6 for a ball game?
Yeah, I would find some games and enjoy that. And watch high school. I mean, high school basketball is good basketball. But it's not here yet, or it's not here in Indiana yet.
No.
But here's a question for you. Will NIL start coming to high school ball?
It has in some states.
It has in Texas.
It has in some states. Well, we're getting ready to watch another football game. We're just going to briefly mention the pros. Scott, do me a favor.
Let's take a break real quick, and then we'll do.
Okay, and come back with the Frick's Driving School, and then we're going to finish up. Okay?
Yeah, we gotta hit one more ad spot, so we'll do that. We'll come right back, talk about our road teams, and since we're going to do another show before the national title game, so we don't actually need to make scores today. So we'll come back and wrap it up.
When the time comes to say goodbye, you want a place that offers more than just services. You want care, understanding, and support. Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka has been helping families honor their loved ones with respect and compassion since 1976. Their team of caring professionals takes the time to understand your needs and offer personalized solutions that reflect the life and wishes of your loved one. From traditional funeral services to cremation options, Han Funeral Homes is here to guide you through this difficult time with grace. For more information, visit hanfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
All right, back with one more segment, and we will get right to it. Enjoy some Black Sedan Band here real quick. And yeah, here they are. Sick dance moves.
The John Travolta School of Dancing.
Yes, it was. 1978. You were at the frat party. John Travolta was big.
I stayed away from the disco.
You did? Seriously?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was at the White Sox outfield burning the disco records.
That's the difference between. I was trying to figure out what's the difference between you and Pat.
I didn't do the disco. I was the Bob Seger guy.
I did.
You don't want to go to the disco. There was a panic there.
No, I was the Bob Seger guy and the Led Zeppelin guy.
No, I get it all. I get it all, man. Hey, Frick's Driving, what a great place. What a great place to learn how to drive. They have this little car that we bring on across our screen here. And it's really cool, this little car.
Here, I'll get that. You're speaking of Led Zeppelin, the Texas band did an ode to Led Zeppelin at halftime of the Cotton Bowl.
Halftime,
was
man.
Cool. See, we miss all the, when you're on TV, you don't get to see the halftime shows.
Yeah, the Ohio State band did Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Texas did Led Zeppelin.
Oh, man.
There you go.
But yeah, anyway, here's our Frick's Road Team of the Week. This segment is sponsored by Frick's Driving School. Call them at 574-2-something-0650.
It's on the website.
Just go to fricksdrivered.com.
It's on the website. Hey, last night, we're going to talk pro football. Only one road team won games this past weekend in the pros, and it was a doink field goal by...
Don't say that D word to a Bears fan.
Oh
no! Don't say double doink.
I even said boink with a B. So
Cody Parkey, a double doink.
Yeah. Washington wins 23-20 over Tampa Bay
at Tampa. So Washington's a road team.
So Washington's wins that game. I had
Can
next
I ask you a question real quick?
Yeah, ask a question.
Ask me a question.
If the Vikings win tonight against the Rams, does that count as a road game, even if the game's being played in Phoenix?
Good point.
Yes, it is, because the Vikings were on the road anyway. If the game would have been in the normal scenario, the Vikings were at LA, so the Vikings are the road team anyway. Yep, I got you.
Right.
I can answer that for you, man.
I was just curious what your opinion of that would be. If it's more of a actual road game or if it's more of a neutral site.
I think it's a road game because they were packing up and heading somewhere anyway, man.
Well, and you know what? The Saturday games were both blowouts. Houston took care of the Chargers pretty good, 32-12. Baltimore, they're talking Pittsburgh. You know, people are on the coaching staff at Pittsburgh. They can't win a ball game.
I mean, Mike Tomlin hadn't done anything the last 8 years in the playoffs.
But you know, you got to know the Rooneys. They're very patient people. But 28-14, Baltimore's good. Yeah, they got a chance to be in the Super Bowl. Yesterday, Buffalo in the cold weather took care of Denver 31-10. So those AFC games yesterday were not, or in the last 2 days weren't even close.
Bills Ravens is going to be like generational next week.
Yeah. The Eagles took care of Green Bay. Green Bay didn't look very good. Back to the Chargers. Who threw the 5 interceptions or 4 interceptions?
Justin Herbert.
Herbert.
Bless his heart. He picked a bad
Just
day
goes
to
to
have
show
a bad
you,
game.
Jim Harbaugh can't beat C.J. Stroud without cheating.
Oh no!
Stop it. It's just like the movie Airplane when Lloyd Bridges says, "I picked a bad time to quit smoking." The plane's going down and everything.
So next week on Saturday, Scott,
Shirley,
you
can't
this,
be serious.
You see Shirley. No, don't call me Shirley.
Hey, Vector, what's your Victor?
Oh,
hey, Victor,
dear.
what's your Vector?
We've gone downhill in a hurry.
Hey, Clarence, we got Clarence?
Roger. Houston at Kansas City next week on Saturday, 4:30. Plan your weekends around this. And then the night game is Washington at Detroit. So the two bye teams, the number 1 seeds, both get to play on Saturday. Sunday, the winner of the game that's going on tonight, the Minnesota Rams game, the winner will have to go to Philadelphia to play Sunday afternoon. And then they're saving, I think, the best for last. And you mentioned this, Scott. Baltimore at Buffalo, Sunday night. Must-see TV.
Yeah, and you know, possibly a snowstorm in Buffalo. Who knows? Because there always is.
Sure.
There's a snowstorm in July in Buffalo. But so here. So before we get off the air, let me just say this, because I'm a Chicago Bear fan. So the Chicago Bears organization looking for a head coach, right? The Boston or the New England Patriots looking for a head coach. So
New England, go ahead.
So New England, I don't know. They got some token interviews, but they know who they want to hire. They hire Mike Vrabel, the ex-Patriot, who's a star and really, really good.
And been the coach for the Tennessee Titans for the last
Ohio State legend, Mike Vrabel. Luke Fickell's best friend.
Yeah, but here's the deal. The freaking Chicago Bears, are interviewing 19 people.
That's what
And
you
one
do
of
when
them's
you have
Marcus Freeman.
committees.
19 people. They interviewed the janitor at Hallis Hall. Now, are you kidding me?
The Rooney Rule, you have to interview so many people.
Yeah, you got to interview 4. Two.
6, 4, and 2.
Yeah, 6. So my point is, you don't know who you want? Come on.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Well, and they
Then
got.
why
Well, they
did
requested to interview Mike McCarthy, and the Cowboys turned him down just for the Cowboys to turn around and fire him.
Now they can interview him. Why would you hire Mike McCarthy? You hired John Fox.
Mm-hmm.
That was a train wreck. I am so down on the Bears. You isolate the best guy. And the best guy is Ben Johnson. You cannot interview. You can do a Zoom interview with him. He was one of the 19.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a Zoom interview, but you can say, Ben, you're our guy. You go win the Super Bowl. You go do this. Ben, what do you need from us?
Well,
you tell us what you need.
Maybe that's why they haven't named a coach yet.
Well, no, they're not going to name a coach. But why the smokescreen and all the other stuff with 19 guys? It makes you look like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's the perception of it. You're going to interview 9 coordinators. You're going to interview Pete Carroll. He's 73, for goodness sakes.
Mm-hmm. So's Belichick.
You interviewed Vrabel. You knew the Patriots were going to hire. Why would you waste your time? And they have a committee. They have the HR director. They got
the DEI spokesman.
Yeah, they got a lady on there who's like, I don't know. She's the head secretary. I don't know. They got 7 people in an interview. They need to have
the secretary of the Honey Bears.
Yeah,
do they still have the Honey Bears?
The GM, assistant GM Ian Cunningham, who's a former football player, and Kevin Warren, who's the former commissioner of the Big Ten and who ran the Minnesota Vikings for 14 years. Those 3 guys.
They're trying to make too many people happy.
Those 3 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down and tell me what you want to do with a young quarterback.
Well, they probably already have. Like you said, they're just biding time.
Well, they look stupid interviewing 19 people. I don't even understand what questions you would ask them. I don't even understand. But what's happening is Bear fans like me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thoroughly disgusted with it.
Your thermostat's going up.
Yeah, no, it is, and I don't need that.
How do you think I feel as a Colts fan that Irsay is keeping Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen?
Yeah,
it's not much better down. It's
called insanity. It's called insanity when you keep doing the same stupid stuff over and over and thinking it's going to change.
In the same span that the Colts have not won the division at all, every other team in the AFC South has won the division at least twice.
Well, so let me tell you this, okay? When the players in Chicago came out and said, so they asked the players, what do you want in your next coach? Well, we want a guy that's going to hold us accountable. We want a guy that's going to be a disciplinarian. When we walk in that building, we want to know that this is the way it's going to be. So Eberflus, they win 4 games at the end of the season last year. So obviously Ryan Poles, who's in the building every day and is the general manager, he doesn't know these feelings that these players are saying. Last year,
they know.
I mean, last year you should have fired Eberflus. You had the guy that wanted to come back to Chicago, who Chicago drafted him and who started his career in Chicago. Name who?
I'm reading Q's note. Go ahead.
James Harbaugh.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. So
he's in San Diego.
Yeah. All he does is go down and take LA Chargers into the playoffs their first year. That's all he does. But no, let's keep Flus.
Here, we
got Flus.
Talk to Q. He says just blame the McCaskies.
Yeah, no, Q. Right on, man. And I don't even know if it's the McCaskies. I just think. Here's what I think, Q. I think the Bears always think they're smarter than everybody else, and God, we're going to find us a name out of these 19 that no one else knew about. So, and I'm sorry about this rant, but I am pissed. Here's how the draft goes.
Tell me how you feel.
No, here's how the draft goes. the Bears will draft somebody in number 1. Okay, you can't really screw that up too much. But the second or third round, Mel Kiper's got it on the screen. Mel's next 10 best players.
Right.
Would you ever think the Bears would ever say, yeah, this lineman from Georgia, man, he plays in the SEC. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Or this defensive end from Alabama. Oh, yeah, he's really good. Blah, blah. He's on Mel Kiper's best. No, the Bears think that they're so smart. They're going to go and find somebody from Appalachian State.
Some diamond in the rough.
Yeah. Yeah. But in the immortal words of 1946 Q, Johnny Wilson, you can't bust a grape. Their third round pick, they pick an offensive tackle from Yale. I'm crying. Oh, man, we got a big game against Harvard. Georgia and Alabama are playing. We're taking in the third round an offensive tackle from, he had a hell of a game against Brown. You should have seen him against Lehigh. He was amazing.
Well, right now, one of the websites has Mason Graham going 10th to the Bears.
Okay,
Mason Graham would be a good get. He's
So number 10. Okay, cool. It's the second and third round. Wait a minute. We got it. We're taking the guy from Central Michigan on Mel Kiper's board. He's got a defensive tackle from Ole Miss. But we're gonna show everybody we know what we're doing, and we're taking the guy from Central Michigan.
Here, let me put you out of your misery. Your pizza's getting cold over there.
Beautiful. Hey,
tomorrow night.
Thanks for tuning in, man.
Tomorrow night, Illinois at IU. We didn't even talk about college basketball.
IU was terrible.
Here we go.
Against Iowa.
Yes, they were. Wednesday, Purdue has to go out to Washington. They're doing a West Coast swing. Purdue has Washington on Wednesday and Oregon on Saturday. So they're going to be gone the entire week.
And when are they going to class? On Thursday and Friday?
No, they're staying out there.
They're called Zooms, right?
Yes, Zooms and whatever else.
Yeah.
The game I'm kind of interested in is next Sunday, before all the football. Next Sunday, Illinois is at Michigan State. Those two teams are both pretty good this year. They're top 20. We haven't had a chance to talk about it much at all. My dear Butler Bulldogs have lost like 8 in a row. I did not go down to watch the ball game this past weekend because of the weather, but they're playing Seton Hall tonight, they play Seton Hall on Wednesday, I believe.
It doesn't work out a whole lot where you started your career at a place. You took that school to new heights. It's never been there before.
I know.
And then you go somewhere else, and then you come back. It very rarely works out, and that's what that models finding out.
That's true. Notre Dame's playing Boston College right now. Saturday they go to Syracuse to play in Carrier Dome.
Hey, okay, I got one question before we check out, Scott, and maybe you can help me with this. Okay.
Okay. I'm ready.
I was talking to somebody about this today. And we were talking about Notre Dame because their academic standards and their ability to get kids in school, used to be really tough. And they were saying that it's still tough to get kids in school. But when they take a transfer, does that transfer have to have the academic standards that a freshman entering school has to have to be able to get into Notre Dame? Because when Lou Holtz went to the president of the university many years ago and said, we need to relax some of these standards, it set the table for Lou Holtz to be fired a year later.
Mm-hmm.
Because the president's thinking, Lou Holtz wants us to change Notre Dame for football? But what's the rule now when Notre Dame is bringing a transfer in who may just be a 2.0 student?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's a good question.
But that is a good question because
I don't have the answer.
Their ability to hold incoming freshmen to higher standards has always been talked about.
Sure.
But portal guys?
What happens if you got a guy with 1 year left or 2 years left?
Does he just have to be able to walk up to the registrar's office?
Yeah.
Or does he have to have some academic integrity? I don't know that.
I don't know either.
My only frame of reference with that is a few years ago, Nogel Eastern transferred out of Purdue, and he tried to go to Michigan, and he couldn't get in. And so they had to turn him away, and he ended up going to
someplace else.
BYU, maybe with Matt Harms. That's the only example I can really think of.
All right, but that really wasn't in the NIL era, was it? I mean, the true NIL era that they have now.
No, this was 4 years ago or so.
Yeah.
Which was obviously before the free and fair. It's basically like NAFTA for college athletes. Free and fair trade.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I'd have to we'd have to do some research on that. Maybe I'll have the research department do some investigating.
Get the R&D on that way right away.
I'm sitting here watching some of these other games. We were talking about distance of people traveling with Purdue having to go to Washington, where Minnesota Rutgers used to be a long trip. That was two of the extremes. When the in between Big Ten, because with Rutgers being East Coast and Minnesota being probably about as far west as you can be. But not anymore, because the other game we're watching is Rutgers and UCLA. How's that for? Yeah, that's opposite sides. And speaking of UCLA, we're seeing a meltdown with Mick Cronin. He's been on a rant for the last week now, and they're down 7 here.
Those guys soft.
Yeah, no, and so here's my question, and so we've carried the show a little longer, but again, this is a good question. If your team is soft, are you not supposed to call them soft? Or is that taboo in today's world?
Depends on the team you have, right?
I don't know. How about, was it the Tennessee coach? He benches his best player the other day, and they had him on an interview after the game. He said, I told him, if you're not going to shoot that ball, we paid you to come here and shoot. If you're not going to shoot it, come sit down. And he benched his ass.
Yeah, no.
And that's what he told him in the press conference. He said, we paid you to come here and shoot that shot.
Yeah.
If you're going to pass it to somebody, then come sit your ass down.
Yeah, I don't
know.
The
opposite of what Patrick Ewing did to that one guy who was like, have you ever shot that shot before? Why'd you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, if your team is soft, what's the matter with calling them soft? Well, why did everybody get in a tizzy on that?
I don't know.
Because you're not supposed to do that nowadays, right?
Or why you sit there and a kid doesn't shake the coach's hand, and you say, hey, shake my hand, dude. Yeah. And then everybody gets all bent out of shape over that too. So
you guys know your teams, right?
Yeah, I'm
so
trying.
You would think that it'd be a little bit calculated from Mick Cronin to call his guys soft, because I don't know if he just flippantly did it, or I hope it would have been a little bit calculated where he
that as a challenge, sure.
Yeah, where he knows his group and it's offered as a challenge instead of trying to be a put down. But maybe not.
He's taken a little pressure off of Calipari, because Cal's been doing this for years, and he's doing it at Arkansas again too. Because things aren't working out at Arkansas the way they thought they were going to work out.
Well, it takes time, to be honest with you. But
sure.
And so Mick Cronin didn't stop, by saying my team's soft. He went on and on and on about it. And that's, what I thought? Great, man. Someone's kind of telling it like it is.
I was kind of happy for him. Well, then the thing was, then the next game.
I wasn't wrong all those years.
No. The next game they play.
KYP, right?
Then he's chewing out the officials because
he's getting tucked.
He got kicked out of the next game.
Yeah. He got 2 in a row, didn't he?
He got 2 in a row. Boom, boom. I mean, 30 seconds or less. So now tonight, they're down 8 to Rutgers.
Well, it's like, it's like what you said at that one summer tournament. Bring them home, shooter.
To Joe Nadline, and Gene Katie was in the corner. He fell out of his. I get kicked out. I'm pissed anyway. But I turn to Joe, and I'm halfway out the gym. I scream, "Bring him home, shooter!" And Gene Katie is in the corner. He falls out of a chair.
That's hilarious.
We have that full story on our YouTube channel as a YouTube short. So if you're curious about that story, please go watch it on the channel.
Bring him home, shooter.
Bring us home, Scott. Let's get out of here.
If Gene Katie would remember that, he would still laugh to this day.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
You're the best man.
Hey, we've done. No, yeah. Well, next show.
We'll get him on.
Hey, next show we're going to try to maybe go early. We haven't really talked much about it, but we do have a 7:30 kickoff next Monday. So we probably need to be done by Monday. Otherwise, no one's going to listen to us past 7:30.
Yeah, just pay attention to our Facebook. We'll let you know what time. But again, I had a great show tonight. Sean Coleman was great. Eric Gaff is just an outstanding young high school basketball coach. He's about 7 foot, and I don't want, he's a big man.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's a big man, and he's got a beard that's real long too.
Mm-hmm.
But he's really good.
Big teddy bear.
He knows what he's doing, man. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Peace, Scott. A great show today, man. You're the best. You're the best. Time to eat some pizza.
Yep.
Peace out.
Scott, get some sleep. I know you got an early morning.
Yes. So just a quick programming note before I officially sign off. I might do a after hours with yours truly, maybe Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday, something like that.
Whatever day you're back home.
Yeah, I might go behind you guys' back and call Darren on my own and talk, like, just examine the game itself.
Yeah,
like,
we
by
would have had
position.
Darren tonight, but Darren was broadcasting a high school basketball game.
So I might get a hold of him, or I don't know. We may try to see if Allison wants to come on Monday, just real quick, and do a real quick breakdown. But I might try to do something position by position here later in the week to try to, I don't know, give some insights that maybe we don't have the time to do on this normal Monday show. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, do all that. And then until next time, we will see you next time.
All right. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Scotty.